Where do I begin? What you're about to see has been well over a year in the making. A story that's close to my heart, but more importantly, a story that captures one of the most special and challenging experiences of my life. We got a chance to take a voyage across the Atlantic Ocean, an 11-day journey on a container ship. We worked side by side with the crew and explored every single corner of this vessel. It surprised me at every turn. This was truly the adventure of a lifetime and our most ambitious work yet. Enjoy. Every day, over 90% of the world's goods travel by sea. And yet, most of us never see what happens or who's behind the scenes. This massive industry moves the world, and that fascinates me. And I wanted to get up close, really see what it's like. So when Arkas gave my team the opportunity to board a container ship from Spain and travel all the way to New York City, I had to jump at it. Look at the view that we're seeing right now. I think this is the coolest machinery I've ever seen in my life. And it's gonna be a one hell of a story to tell. This is 730 feet, or 2 football fields of steel, carrying over 2,000 containers packed with billions of dollars worth of goods. Look at the volume here. It's absolutely insane, but it's just one of thousands of ships at sea, each quietly keeping the world running without us even realizing it. For the next 11 days, we embedded ourselves with the crew to document the experience of what it takes to move all these goods across the Atlantic Ocean. From the long hours of work,
it's hot in here, it's loud, it's fun though,
to sharing the tough times with the crew.
Bir gözü açık uyuyanlardanız diyebilirim.
Buranın yaşadığı o 1/3'lik alanda değil de aslında baktığınız zaman biz dünyanın 2/3'sinde yaşıyoruz.
Burası iş yeri değil, burası bizim kendi evimiz.
This is no ordinary journey. This is an inside look at the heart of shipping, the industry that makes the world tick, but is often overlooked. Come along and travel with us on this container ship from Spain to New York City.
I'm ready.
Our journey began in Spain, where we met up with the ship's captain, Gökhan, who took us to the port. Passing by these containers, trucks, and massive ships was fascinating, yet daunting. All these metal boxes are transporting goods that we consume and use every day. Materials, food, cars, all like clockwork. And there are thousands of these ships moving these containers out at sea. And these massive ships have to navigate challenging weather conditions, treacherous oceans, even wars and political blockades in order to deliver these containers on time. At last, there was our ship, right in front of us, Sine A. And our first look at it was quite daunting.
look at the scale. No, I mean like,
It's really important to get a chance to understand the scale of these operations. Like, you see these 20 or 40 foot containers, but these are the cranes, and this is how they get these containers from the ground to the ship, and the whole place is moving. Like, nothing is constant. They're loading another ship behind us,
They're loading this one. They're getting fuel.
As we were observing the operation all around, the excitement was building on us, knowing that soon we were going to step aboard and to a place of no return.
I don't think I've done anything in my life remotely close to this, where I am secluded with 24 other people. That's kind of it. That's the bottom line.
It's gonna be sick.
It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick. Can't wait. Can't wait. You're officially on the logbook. You're officially part of the crew right now.
Let's go.
It's a serious move. It's a milestone.
Once we boarded the ship, we got to meet the crew and got settled in as the rest of the loading was being completed.
Tamamdır abi, bulduk mekanı bulduk, tamam.
Beautiful.
Oh, this is perfect, dude.
This is great.
All right, welcome to our office for the next 11 days. I would love to give you the breakdown, but right now we have a few hours left. We're fighting against time. We want to get as much footage as possible. It's a big moment. This is our last destination before we head out to New York. Cody, thoughts?
Let's start.
Let's start. Let's get to work.
We explored the ship and took in the jarring views of the port until the pilot arrived.
This was the reason why we wanted to do this. You see these ships crossing the oceans, but you never know what it takes to operate these and what the crew goes through. And we're gonna learn so much and we're gonna understand so much about this industry. And that's fascinating. Why would you get on a ship in Spain, cross the ocean, and then go to New York? Like, I don't think there's any feasible reason, unless you have a cool YouTube channel like ours, where you get to do these and share it with the world. It's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's gonna be a one hell of a story to tell.
And that journey was about to begin.
Pilot's here, which means soon we're gonna leave this port.
Now, the pilot is an outside captain from the port authority that is assigned to each ship and is responsible for guiding each vessel in and out of the ports safely and out to sea. This might be one of the most stressful and important parts of the entire journey, because even the slightest deviation from the pilot's path can mean grounding the ship and putting the entire operation in jeopardy. And that was it. We were on our way. And once the pilot's job is done, it's time to get off the ship.
Thank you.
This is one of the most dangerous parts of the pilot's job. One small slip here can have disastrous consequences. After months of planning with many stressful days and our crew working hard, that was it. We were truly on our journey across the Atlantic. But as I was going through it, signing the final paperwork and really riding off the adrenaline of the departure, it started sinking in. What would we encounter? Will something go wrong? What is it gonna feel like in the middle of the ocean? I didn't quite know what we were getting into, but we had 11 days to find out. This is Arkas Sine A, a 728-foot container ship. This tour is going to be far from ordinary. It's not just a structure. We're living within a working machine, a vessel built for purpose and endurance. So in our first few days on board, we took the time to adjust, study the layout, walk the decks with the crew, and see the systems that keeps this ship moving. There are so many layers to this tour. The Accommodation Tower where we live, the vast container decks, the engine room, and the cargo spaces far below. But there's only one place to begin a journey like this, and that's the main deck.
Once again, welcome on board Sine A. We're currently on our way from Algiers, Spain to New York. We're about halfway through our trip, and it's been incredible being on board and being part of this experience, and we're really excited to share it with all of you. To my left, you can see 4 stacks of containers. These are 40-foot containers. You can also see these lashing bars that are tying down these containers to the deck, and below that is the mooring area that we're gonna cover later. Now, if we turn to the other side, you'll see this massive structure, which is the accommodation area, and we also have the stack here for the engine, and then over here you have this nice open deck. Normally they have this area for 20-foot containers, but since they don't have any containers here, we've been really using this space, enjoying the views, and this is also where we take off our drones as well. In fact, if we pan to this side, you can see the window on the second floor. That's where our office is located, our production office. So it's been a nice convenient spot for us to come down. Like I mentioned earlier, we're currently on the poop deck, and they have a muster station here. They have these stations throughout the vessel, and these are the areas you come to during an emergency or during a drill. And we've been part of the drills and other training procedures, and we'll talk about that later as well. We got a lot to cover. Now follow me this way. To our right, we have an embarkation ladder. Above that is the lifeboat. They have 2 of these on board. And now I want to bring everybody to this side where we have this open area. What we're looking at is a hedge cover. On a given bay, they have 3 of these hedge covers. One on the starboard side, one in the center, and one on the port side. And during these long voyages, crew takes the time to maintain certain parts of the ship. In fact, a few days ago, this section was a little bit rusty, so they did a little rust treatment, they primed the entire section, and they painted it, so it looks really fresh and clean right now. And the second thing about these hedge covers is the fact that they weigh around 25 tons, and you can actually remove these sections with the cranes that are at the ports. Not only you can stack containers on top of them, you can actually stack containers below them into the belly of the ship, which is fascinating. They have these massive cargo holds that we'll talk later in the video. Now below us is the main deck of the ship that is connected with 2 long passageways that go all the way to the bow. And first up on this passageway is one of 2 fueling stations. We have the opening for diesel, oil, and fuel oil. They run these vessels on fuel oil, but when they get close to shore, within the last 200 miles, they have to convert to a diesel to be more environmentally friendly. This particular vessel can hold 185 tons of diesel, and then you come over here, this vessel can hold 3,135 tons of fuel oil. Insane numbers. I guess when you have over 2,800 containers above and below deck, you need a lot of fuel. So we have cross decks between these bays, and in total we have 50 bays, which are sectioned for all these containers. They also have these vents for the hedge covers because they're feeding natural air to the cargo holes that are below us. And it's crazy to me how much they maximize the surface area when it comes to storing these containers. You have these massive steel beams going all the way to the edge of the ship, and that's how they support these containers above us. What a crazy view, huh?
It's kind of like a house where you maximize your entire lot space. This container is going right up to the edge of the boat.
Crazy. Now, Cody, can we turn our camera to this direction? This is a good place to see some of the different sizes for these containers. We have 20-foot long, 40-foot long, and 45-foot long. That's why they use these cross decks to accommodate the last 5 feet of those very long containers. It's crazy to experience the Atlantic Ocean from a vessel like this. You have these vast open views. You can see these massive stacks of containers. We have some Arcas containers here, more lashing bars. Interesting enough, the lashing bars only go up till the bottom of the 3rd tier. And within the lashing bars, they have turnbuckles to tighten them up to make sure that these containers are pretty much glued to the overall structure of the ship. They don't have to push it up more than that because
between the weight, the floor, twist locks, they're actually strong and laterally strong enough to keep themselves nice and secure even during rough conditions. Now, let's go over to this side. Like I mentioned earlier, we have 3 different sizes and we have 2 different heights. This cube right here is the standard cube, which is 8 foot 6 inches tall. And next to that is the high cube, which is 9 foot 6 inches tall. So they have 2 different heights depending on what you need. Another thing I want to point out is how they lock these containers in place. We have some of the container sockets here, and then they lock them through these twist locks. And as you can see, they can stack them up quite high. It can accommodate 2,824 20-foot containers. And as we currently speak, we have 833 on board. A vessel like this starts around $50 million to build, and obviously it can go up from there. And I want to give big thanks to Arkas family for letting us on board, allowing us to be part of this 11-day voyage to New York City. We're so excited. And I think it's worth telling you how we ended up on this ship in the first place. In fact, it's over a 20-year story. Let me break it down. Meet 13-year-old Enes, growing up in Turkey, just a kid who lives in a small beach town. But this is the year that my life is about to change, as I'm introduced to the sport of windsurfing, an activity that at first I thought would be just a hobby, but it turned into a lifelong passion. At age of 15, the Arcas Sports Club decided to sponsor me as an athlete and put me under their wing. They believed in me, put resources behind me, and I might even argue that they shaped the belief that I carry still to this day, that anything is possible, as their mentorship and guidance led me to win 3 world titles in my sport. Arcas gave me my first taste of a professional mentality and helped me understand that the world was so much bigger than my hometown. Now, 20 years later, it's come full circle. But this time, instead of the promising windsurfer, now I'm someone who travels across the world and brings these unique, one-of-a-kind experiences. And what a way to share something that is so near and dear to Arcas and their identity with the rest of the world. It's funny how life works. Now, the container to our left has its own built-in tracker. Now, some of these containers have their own GPS trackers. That way, the company that owns them can know exactly where they are and have more control over the container itself. And the second container I want to talk about is this one right here. Out of 833 containers, 7 of them are refrigerated, meaning they have their own built-in air conditioning units. They have air conditioning units to keep these containers cooled, keep frozen goods in there, or to keep them dry and eliminate any moisture that could be inside. And throughout the containers, in case you're wondering what's in these containers, it could literally be anything. Furniture, consumer goods, cars, whatever that could be fit in a 20, 40, or 45 foot, it's allowed. In fact, down below in the cargo hold, they have some containers that are holding flammable or dangerous liquids. Now, since we have so many containers aboard, the ship has a system in place that organizes them into multiple rows, bays, and tiers. And the fact that these containers are so modular allows them to utilize every bit of space above and even below deck. But the only part that doesn't hold cargo, aside from the accommodation tower, is the forwardmost section of the ship. This is the bow section of this vessel. It's nice and open and you get some absolutely insane views. And I also want to mention that this is snapback zone, because once you're moored or you're being pulled by tugboats, the lines here can bear a lot of pressure, and if these lines snap, it could be very, very dangerous. That's why once you're anchored somewhere, only authorized personnel can come to this section. You're not allowed to walk to the bow. Over on this side, we have bollards, rollers, windlass, winch equipment, and obviously we have 2 massive anchors. In fact, Cody, let's get a close-up on this one. The anchor itself weighs around 7.2 tons per side, And it's the weight of the anchor and weight of the chain that keeps the boat in place, because once they drop this anchor, they let out so much chains and these connections that eventually gets really, really heavy, and that overall weight is what keeps the ship in place, which is fascinating. And I mean, look at this mechanism here. It's crazy. I don't even know how to react.
These chains are bigger than your face. Like,
Yes.
get up close to that.
Yeah,
That's wild.
it is wild. In fact, Cody, can we turn around and show the massive wind and water breaker, protecting the container and the rest of the ship from massive waves or from wind, but they still have these little cutouts. That way, it's not like a massive sail. You can still let some air or some water go through it. And right in the center, we also have this massive mast that holds the horn and lighting equipment for the ship. But more importantly, look at the view that we're seeing right now. The ocean, the calmness. I'm trying to remember, when was the last time we saw land or we saw another ship? I think it was a few days ago. And it's just an amazing area for you to come, you relax, be in peace, enjoy this view. And down below us is the bulb, the section of the ship that is basically cutting through the water. And the other day we saw some dolphins. We were just finishing the tour of the bow thruster and we got out and I saw something on the water. I'm like, was that a fish? And it's just army of dolphins just started reaching towards the bow of the boat. Probably one of the coolest experiences ever. Like watching these wild animals just swim right in front of the bow and race with the boat is fascinating. They're so beautiful, they're so effortless. Even the way they dive, it's like elegant. They just go right in the water, back again. It's beautiful. And then you look around and you realize you're in the middle of the ocean, in the heart of Mother Earth, on this massive man-made megastructure, traveling from one continent to another. And when we were contemplating on the idea of doing a tour of a vessel like this, we wanted to do it the right way. We wanted to get on a long voyage, spend 11 days to understand the crew, the culture, the ship. And that's why we're so excited for this tour. I mean, looking back, we covered all these areas, but we still have so much more to see, so many different areas, utilities, and we're just getting started. There's approximately 50 to 60,000 merchant ships just like this one traversing the globe with a small dedicated crew running these massive vessels. Without them or these ships, we wouldn't be the world we are today, and we certainly wouldn't have access to most of the products used in our day-to-day lives. So now that you're more familiar with this ship, let's meet some of these unspoken heroes. The captain.
Ben Gökhan Keskin. Arkas filosunda 7 yıldır gemi kaptanı olarak görev yapmaktayım.
Secondary Captain Barış. Barış Bey selamlar.
Merhabalar Enes Bey.
Chief Engineer.
Merhaba, ismim Rıdvan Soyuslu.
And some of the other crew members that help operate this floating colony and ensure the safe delivery of these containers to destinations across the globe.
Yani bu gemideki yönetim sistemi aynı bir ülkenin yönetim sistemi gibi. Şu an bu gemide bir kaptan var. Kaptan ayrı bir makam. Ben varım görevim itibariyle. Yani Chief Officer, 1. Zabit, güverte personelinin başı. Aynı zamanda kuzine ekibinden sorumluyum. Ve bir Chief Engineer var. Makine ekibinin başı.
Sine A gemisinde baş mühendislik görevini yürütmekteyim. 2013'ten beri baş mühendislik yapıyorum. 2016'dan beri Arkas Holding'de çalışıyorum.
Bizler bu iki kolu yöneten iki kişi olarak kaptana bildirimde bulunuyoruz.
Now imagine a ship this size needs to operate nearly 24/7, 365 days a year, and needs to be constantly maintained. There's only 22 men creating an ecosystem of life under one roof, eating, sleeping, and working all together while having each other as the only thing they can depend on for the survival of this mission.
Gemi komplike bir sistem. Yani karadaki insanların ihtiyaçlarını belediye gideriyor. Burada bütün ihtiyaçları gideren bir sistem var.
And if there are any problems during the journey, it's up to the 22 men to use their resources and skills to be able to overcome any challenges, as we're alone in the middle of the ocean on this hunk of steel. And at its core lies the beating heart and soul of this ship that keeps the lights on, produces our water, heat, processes waste, and moves our vessel forward.
We are about to tour the coolest part of this entire ship. Follow me this way. Welcome to the engine room. This is absolutely insane.
Before we dive into the engine room, let's go over a few things. This is not like your typical engine you find in your car. This massive machine is completely open and goes 3 levels down into the belly of the ship.
Makineye girdiğiniz zaman ilk göreceğiniz şey 7 silindir ve tepeden bir motorun açılmış halini görürsünüz bizde. Bir arabanıza baktığınız zaman göremediğiniz çoğu sistemi gemiye bindiğiniz zaman açılmış halde görürsünüz.
And we're going to explore all the functions of this 44-foot tall engine and how it provides us power, clean water, fresh air, everything for this vessel to sustain life, to withstand the harsh conditions at sea, and to deliver cargo across the globe. Pretty much a self-sufficient floating city. That's when you realize the gravity of this space and how this ship is nothing without this engine room and the skilled crew that keeps it running.
At 90% performance, this engine pushes this vessel to 23.6 knots, which is really, really fast. Above us, you can see some of the pipes, heat insulation, and there's also an engine crane here, because if you want to repair this engine or change some of the parts, you need this crane. Now, if you wonder what that massive crane tube is, that's your exhaust pipe. And behind the exhaust pipe, you have 2 turbochargers spooling and boosting the performance of this engine, and the exhaust goes to the stack, which is located on the back side of the ship. I think this is the coolest machinery I've ever seen in my life. We have 7 pistons here. Each piston is supported by 3 massive fuel injectors. The green section on top, those are your exhaust valves. Gray section on the bottom, those are your fuel pumps. And in case you wonder how big some of the parts that go into this engine, follow me this way. That's one of the pistons. Insane. And that's your cylinder liner. That is in that engine. This is insane. It's so loud in here.
There's so much activity in this space. Right behind all that noise is the compressor for the main air conditioning unit, keeping fresh, cool air circulating through the entire vessel. Next to it, the refrigeration plant powers the walk-in fridges and galley, which we'll see later. There's also a fully equipped workshop, hydraulic press, grinding wheel, welding tools, everything the crew needs to fabricate or repair parts while at sea. An adjoining room holds spare parts, making sure that they're ready for whatever comes up. And the person in charge of it all, that's the chief engineer, Rıdvan.
Baş mühendisin işi bütün geminin yürüyen mekanik aksamından, bunların bakımı, arızaların çözümü ve en önemlisi planlı bakım sistemini yürütmekle yükümlüdür. Bütün her şeyin gemimizde oluşabilecek arızalarda, özellikle kritik ekipmanların yedek parçalarının gemide bulunması lazım. Bizim gemimiz MAN 80 MC makinayla donatılmış durumda. 18.000 beygirin üstünde bir güç üretiyoruz. Yani bizim gemimizde 150 beygirden tutun 18.000 beygire kadar çeşitli 2 zamanlı, 4 zamanlı makinalarımız mevcut.
This vessel was built in 2008 by Hyundai in South Korea, and it burns approximately 25 to 30 tons of fuel a day, which is pretty efficient considering that it can carry over 2,000 containers.
We have the fuel pump here. and they actually heat up the fuel oil to use it for the engine. That's why they have insulation over it. Also down below, we have the control arm here that dictates how much fuel goes into the cylinder, hence how much power you're getting out of this engine. Now, Cody, do me a favor. Can you get on this platform? I've talked about the injectors. This is one of the 3 injectors that are feeding these cylinders. And look how big this exhaust valve is. You can feel the power of each one of the pistons, the movement of this engine, and it's bolted to the heart of the vessel. Again, I've never been in a space like this. I've never toured an engine room like this. It's fascinating, and we still have so much more to see.
As we move deeper into the vessel, the heat intensifies, the engine growls louder, and we find more of the crucial components keeping life on the ship afloat. On this level, we can see into the camshaft, engine controls, and the communication systems that connect directly to the navigation tower. It also provides direct access to the engine for servicing key parts like the piston. And when we reached New York, we were lucky enough to get a look inside this incredible machine.
Come on, dude. Give me the camera. Get the settings. Are you serious? What? What? That's a sleeve. That's a cylinder. This is jarring. Jarring. Look, I expected like a 6 or 7 foot like a cylinder. That thing is easily a 20 to 25 foot assembly.
That's wild.
Imagine that thing vigorously rotating. We have the fresh water maker here, and the way they make this water is super fascinating. They take seawater and they take the combustion heat from the engine, and under a vacuum, they heat the water at 60 degrees. Normally water boils at 100 degrees, but because it's under a vacuum, it actually boils at 60 degrees here, and then they collect the vapor and create fresh water for the entire ship. Crazy. And then over here, they use the seawater. That's why they have green valves here to cool off the fresh water that's on board, and then they use the fresh water to cool off the oil for the entire vessel. So it's amazing to see how they utilize certain machines to create a product, or they use the byproduct to create another product. It's all about being efficient.
Out here, you really start to appreciate how self-reliant this ship is. And it made me think, if this engine fails, it's not just about losing power. It becomes difficult to sustain life on board for any length of time. Everything depends on keeping that engine running, which brings us to the generators.
We have 4 massive diesel generators that produce 1,730 kilowatts each. Now, we currently have 3 of these generators off. The one that's working is right here. And one of these diesel generators are enough to produce power for the entire vessel while on its way. Now, this is probably the loudest part of the entire vessel. If you're wondering how loud it is, we'll turn off our post-production audio enhancement so you can hear it. It is insanely loud, but this generator here is so much power that it keeps the lights on, it keeps all the machinery, and it keeps us safe and speed and navigation. Woo, that was loud. That was really loud.
Now on the other side of the generators is the sewage treatment plant, where all the sewage from our ship is processed. Next to that, we have a very important room, where the fuel oil or the blood of the ship is treated before it enters the engine itself. They begin by pushing the oil through these filters twice to clean it of any particulates.
And they also heat the fuel oil because fuel oil itself is not fluid enough to be pushed into the engine. So they have to heat the fuel oil. That's why all the pipes here are insulated because it's relatively hot. And then it goes to the engine filters it one more time before it gets burned. And that's why they have this room. Now the last floor where the magic happens. We have these doors opening up to the crankcase so you can access the engine from here as well. And then on this side we have two fire pumps for the fire sprinkler system. Then on this side we have two massive pumps that are for ballast tanks. And that's why they have the green caps on top because there's seawater. And then wrapping around we have additional caps here. These are crankcase relief valves actually. So if something were to happen where you have an explosion within the engine, these are the valves that pop out. So you don't damage any other area of the engine. It's a nice safety feature. And they have 7 of these relief valves in total. And this is the most important aspect of this engine. The crankshaft. This rod takes all that power from the engine and pushes it out to the propeller. It's massive in size. In fact, we have this bridge that goes all the way to the other side. That's the very end of the crankshaft. And over on the other side, we have a propeller that's 7 meters wide that weighs over 40 tons. How massive? Just imagine a 7-meter metal propeller that weighs 40 tons. That is pushing the water, and it can push this massive ship up to 24 knots. It's absolutely insane. We also have an emergency exit here, and we're pretty much at the tail end of this vessel. That's why these walls are curved. Honestly, this engine room is one of the coolest spaces I've ever seen in my life. I'm so appreciative that we got the access so we can share this moment with all of you, and the engine room continues.
Even though the engine room is centralized, it still has a lot of components that are spread out across the ship. One of its crucial sections is located right at the front of the ship, and it was a journey in itself to get there. Arguably one of the most important equipment on board, the bow thruster. This bow thruster has an electric motor that pulls around 1200 kilowatts of energy. So you need a lot of electricity to feed its engine, and down below is a metal cylinder, and inside of that cylinder is a massive propeller that helps maneuvering this ship. Bow thruster particularly comes in handy when you're in tight spaces or when you're docking into a marina or a port. And it is located down into the bow at the very lowest level, and that's why we're hearing these insane sounds right now, because we have waves hitting the bow of this ship. How crazy is that? When you think about it, the engine, its components, and the scale can be intimidating. And beyond that, it's a huge responsibility to have this entire mechanism operate and stay functional. And all that pressure falls under the chief engineer.
Bu paranoyayla, bu stresle, bu yükümlülükle bununla nasıl yaşıyorsunuz?
Bu paranoyla baş etmenin benim adıma en önemli yolu, ben soğukkanlı olmaya çalışıyorum. Ve sizin baş mühendis olarak her konuda ne olursa olsun gemideki en son mercisiniz. Ve bir cevabınız olması lazım. Mutlaka yani bu olay sizin bir şekilde müdahale etmeniz lazım. Bunun için de tecrübenin yanında soğukkanlı olmanız lazım. Biraz da paranoyak olmamız lazım. Yani kaygı bozukluğu derler yani. Biraz kaygı olması lazım.
And that brings us to the next point, where all these components are managed and operated.
Welcome to the engine control room. Now, the aspect of this room that I really like is the fact that it's air conditioned, so it's nice and cool, and it's also way more quiet than the engine room itself. Now, this room and the navigation deck are really the brains of this entire vessel. And over on this side, you can see all these panels, gauges, controls,
The steering gear on this vessel is from Rolls-Royce. That's why we have all this Rolls-Royce branding. Some pressure gauges above. Check this out. They have the buttons here. Obviously at 5:30 p.m., they end their shift here, but somebody needs to watch over the engine. So what they do is they connect this control panel to their room, and if any of the alarms or warnings go off, each one of the engineers get a warning. And for some reason, within a certain period of time, if they don't address it or acknowledge that they heard the alarm, it goes to the navigation deck and the entire ship. That's how they assure that someone is keeping an eye on the entire engine. We have more gauges here, control levers for the engine. We have communication lines between the navigation deck and here, and this particular telephone is connected to the telephone right next to the engine that we saw earlier. So if you lose power, you can still operate the engine both from this side and over there. Now, on the screen, we can see some of the temperature reads from the engine, your exhaust valves, pistons. We have the generator to the left. So far, this generator has worked 48,382 hours. I'm assuming it's been working since they built this vessel in 2008. That's crazy.
It is crazy. We'll probably put the conversion into years on the screen, or someone leave it in the comments, but it's absolutely wild.
It is wild. And over here we have Eser. He is the second engineer on board. Him and the chief engineer Rudwan are so knowledgeable when it comes to the engine and the entire vessel. It's like no matter what question I ask them or what equipment I ask them, right away they knew the answer. And you may assume that they should know, but when you look at the overall footprint of the vessel, the areas, the equipment, there's so much to remember. They're the people that are really keeping us safe.
These men are dedicated to not only getting us across the ocean and keeping us safe, but to keeping the ship and its cargo safe both above and below deck. And that's where we're going next.
And this is where this tour gets really interesting. We're in cargo hold number 4, and we're gonna take you to a space that is wide open so you can understand the scale of these cargo holds. Look at the volume here. It's absolutely insane. And to give you more context, each one of the cargo holds have a back, center, and forward section. We're currently under the hedge cover that's on the port side, and that's why we're getting natural light from the left-hand side, because those are all the vent covers bringing natural air and ventilation to this space. This particular opening can accommodate 6 standard cube containers or 5 high cube containers all the way up to the ceiling where we have the hedge cover. The other thing I want to mention is the noise in here. Because we're on our way, you can hear these containers and the ship itself bend and creak since it's such a big structure, and that's crazy to me. I mean, look at the tiers that are behind me. You have all these levels, walkways. It's an insane space. And I'm just fascinated with mega structures. When you take that idea and push the boundaries, you end up with massive vessels like this where you can carry 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 containers across the globe. And that's why we wanted to get on board to understand these ships, the crew, how they operate, and be part of a journey like this.
When you're building a mega structure at this scale, you inevitably create hidden corners and unusual spaces. And as we kept exploring how these ships are built and operated, we stumbled onto something unexpected. A part of the vessel few will ever see. But before we could get down there, we needed a few more instructions.
This is the stuff they need to read before we get to the bottom of the ship, where we're gonna walk from the aft all the way to the bow.
And let me tell you, that list was long.
Hazardous atmosphere, lack of oxygen, explosive atmosphere, explosion fire, wet surface, personal injury, confined space, inadequate physical capability, space must be located immediately in the event of the ventilation. When you see the red light, you must directly go outside.
10 numara yanıyor.
Hangi gaza denilir?
When you hear this, you leave everything behind and you go back to the outside.
Our access to illumination, educate. Additionally, is the person who will enter the enclosed space a flashlight and headlamp. Yes.
The coolest and most exclusive assets in the world led us to a 720-foot container ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and we're going to the very bottom floor of it. Let's see what happens. Maybe we're pushing it a little too much. What do you guys think? Look at that! Dude, this is the bottom of the ship. Wow, this is crazy, dude.
I'd be lying if I said this was an easy space to move through.
I hit my head again. When you think about a ship, you have a triangular hole at the very bottom, right? This is that very bottom. We cannot even stand up exactly. It's about like 5 feet of ceiling height here.
I can't stand up.
Insane, just insane. All right, let's continue. Dude, the hard hats come in handy.
After an exhausting crawl, we finally made it to the other side of the tunnel.
Okay, I think this goes to the history as the coolest and the most interesting and challenging space we've ever toured on this channel, period. Now, let's get some fresh air.
Oh, this breeze is nice.
Woo! Guys, and if you're enjoying this content, make sure to give us a like, subscribe, and
Hold on. You got Dior boots on?
hey,
This isn't even personal protective equipment. Is this
if
certified?
you, hey, I gotta capture this monumental moment of you just stepping out to the surface.
Like the man on the moon.
Man on the moon.
My head. You got it?
I think so, yeah. There we go.
It's like we dug our way to China. We finally made it.
All right, thoughts?
That was fun.
That was fun.
Where are we?
Middle of the containers, there you go.
We're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. We haven't seen land for 4 days now, and I'm starting to feel as if I've begun to lose the sense of time. Every day is the same. In the morning, we wake up when the crew wakes up, eat promptly at 8 a.m. The crew go to their station, break for lunch, tea and dinner, and are asleep by 9 p.m. The repetition blurs everything together. One day spills into the next. But in that stillness, I found something unexpected. Being out here with a Turkish crew, speaking my native language, there's a comfort I didn't anticipate. We're thousands of miles from home, surrounded by nothing but open sea. Yet, somehow, this feels familiar. Watching them work, understanding their discipline, their routines, I see it. And in some quiet way, I admire and feel connected to it.
Bir kere her şey planlı. Yani acil bir durum dışında plansız hiçbir şey yok. Yani sabah kahvaltısının saati planlı, çay saati planlı, öğlen yemeği, akşam yemeği, yapılacak iş, mesai saati. Yani burada planlı yaşamak zorundayız açıkçası.
Remember, we're confined to a 728-foot long ship with only so many things to do to pass the time. And in that stillness, I kept thinking about the crew. I always had a soft spot for hardworking people. Maybe because I was always inspired by my dad's work ethic. There's something deeply admirable about people who give so much and still carry themselves with humility and grace. That's why this journey mattered. I didn't want a short trip. I asked for the long haul. I wanted to do the real thing. And I wanted to feel what they feel, understand the weight they carry,
and honor their work by truly living with them.
Gemide vakit geçirmenin en güzel yolu çalışmak. Fiziksel çalışma ama siz de gördük, sizi de çalıştırdık. Fiziksel çalıştırdığınız zaman zaman su gibi geçer burada.
So to switch it up, I thought it would be cool to get hands-on with the crew and do my part to help run the ship. When I say run this ship, I thought I would help in the kitchen or mop the floors or something like that. I didn't expect to get sent to the engine room.
I'm gonna go down to the engine room and work with the team, fix some of the equipment there. I told them I'm a tough boy, I can handle it. They're like, we're not so sure. I'm like, put me to work. They gave me my outfit. I got my steel toe shoes. The spirit is there, the energy is there. I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's go.
Biz öncelikle sizi böyle basit bir işte çalıştırmak istemedik. Önemli bir işte çalıştıralım dedik. Amerika öncesi yaptığımız Kinistin temizliği. Kinistin bizim ana deniz suyu girişimiz. Filtremizi temizlememiz gerekiyordu.
It's basically the filtration system that takes the seawater and stores it on board. So it's relatively dangerous because if for some reason we lose the cap over this filter, within seconds we'll flood the entire engine room and there's no coming back from there. Yeah. He was like,
Why'd you tell me that?
well, I didn't want you to freak out. Like,
I'm freaking out now.
well, it's too late, we're doing it.
Bu işi size yaptırdık ve ciddi anlamda da çalıştırdık sizi yani. Tabii öncelikle size gerekli güvenlik bilgilerini verdik. Hep yanınızdaydık. Yani başınıza bir şey gelmemesi için elimizden gelen çabayı sarf ettik.
Abi, kulaklık yok. Siktir. Devam o zaman. They're releasing the seawater right now. They're letting the pressure go.
In order to get this open, they had to send 2 men down below to get the remaining bolts to lift this lid off. And I was one of them.
Sabit. Sabit.
What these men do on a day-to-day basis, it's no freaking joke. I'm in such a tight space right now. It's so hot in here. These spaces are not designed for people to fit in. We're just making it work. He's basically opening up the valve on top. And I'm already dying from heat. So hot. You look badass though. I feel badass.
Once the bolts were loosened, we had to use the impact wrench to fully unscrew them before we can get this lid off and get to the filter.
Burada şey yok, altında vardı bak sadece.
Aslında abi.
Öyle mi? Woo! It's hot in here. It's loud. It's fun though. You feel like a real man doing this job. I love it. I love it. Official dirty jobs on site. Hey, we mean what we say. We go through with it. I told him I want to see the whole thing from start to finish. I'm not leaving the site till we're done. Ondan bana böyle çek diyorsunuz. Yavaş yavaş yürüyor. Şimdi anladım. They're laughing because I'm slow. There we go.
Conta yapışmasın diye böyle yap.
Dude, this is so cool.
Ne manyak işi patron bu ya. Tekli, aksiyonlu. The filter that we're gonna replace is actually in there. So we still have to dig down now.
Bak hep tıkanmış.
Hiç boşluk kalmamış. The filter is so clogged that they can't push the seawater through. It's really dirty. That's why we need a new filter. And that's what's behind the camera right now.
But because we're in the middle of the ocean with no spare parts around, we still have to clean the filter we just pulled in case we need to use it again. And while the crew took their afternoon tea break, I was determined to continue the job. But seeing my only tool was the small scraper, I knew this was gonna take a while.
Ah, it smells like fish. Yeah. I'm questioning a lot of things in life right now. It's hot, it's loud. Dude, it's just like one of a million things that are in this engine room. These men do this day to day. They're all like, they went for a little tea break. They're like, yep, that's our life. We'll do more. I'm gonna keep scraping this.
Okay, I might have a go have a tea break.
Yep. I'm doing a hell of a job cleaning it though.
I may have gotten a little too excited when the power tools showed up.
We finally finished it. It looks good.
With the filter cleaned, we had to now reinstall it, lock it in place, and seal the lid back on to the pump.
Eser kırmızı öne, gri arkaya mı gidiyor?
We had to make sure it went down just right so we don't flood the ship when it turns back on.
Now we go. I think my job's done. I torqued all the bolts. Chief, we're good? All right. Woo! Var mı daha işin burada? Bu mu? Bu kadar. Teşekkürler. I just changed one filter. I feel like I burned 2,000 calories. Come on. Like this outfit was fresh an hour and a half ago. Now it's just all stainy. And I just did one job.
It's humbling to realize that this routine, this structure, is everyday life for the crew. Their jobs are intensely demanding and deeply structured. Every hour of their day is accounted for. Every task focused on one thing, keeping the ship moving safely and on schedule.
Aslında çok değişik bir işiniz var. Her yer ev, her yer evde değil. Her yer geçici. Hem bir yandan bağlanıyorsunuz hem bir yandan bağlanmamanız gerekiyor.
Gemide zaten sağ olsun Arkas Holding her şeyimiz var. Hani gündelik hayatın stres yapabilecek hiçbir şey yok bizde. Bir de siz de gördünüz, akşam çıkarsınız, gidersiniz, bir denize dalarsınız, sessiz bir ortam. Ama şu var tabii, biz o kadar alışmışız ki sizin kadar zevkini biz anlamıyoruz yani.
Biz yaşadığı o 1/3'lik alanda değil de aslında baktığınız zaman biz dünyanın 2/3'sinde yaşıyoruz.
Burası iş yeri değil. Burası bizim kendi evimiz.
Yani bir gemide sürekli değişken bir manzara. Yani gün batımı, gün doğumu, yıldızları seyretmek. Ki ben bir kere çıkıp yıldız seyretmiş değilim. Ama gece çıkıp o yıldızları seyretmek karada çalışanlar için çok büyük bir fark. Ama biz kanıksamışız artık. Yani biz dışarı çıkıp baktığımız zaman ben ufka aslında çok da şey değil yani. Ben ailemi bir an önce kazasız belasız kavuşmak istiyorum.
teknenin ev olması, işinin hayatın olması. Bu nasıl bir psikoloji?
Yani işinize geç kalmak istemiyorsanız, böyle bir iş arıyorsanız burası tam size göre. Çünkü zaten iş yerinizde yatıp kalkıyorsunuz. Ama her zaman olası bir acil duruma karşı da tetikte. Yani bir gözü açık uyuyanlardanız diyebilirim.
This is not just a job, it's their passion, it's their commitment. And being out here, witnessing it firsthand, has given me a whole new level of appreciation for what they do. Now, let's see the part of the ship where the crew eat, rest, and spend the few quiet moments they get on this long journey.
We're going to continue our tour with the main deck aft, where we have the mooring area. We talked about this section earlier. In fact, you can see the containers above us, and this area is wide open, and we have windlass, winch equipment, bollards, rollers, typical mooring equipment that we saw at the bow of the ship. They have it also here. But my favorite part of this section is the fact that you get this insane view. What we're looking at is the very tail end of this ship, and below us is that 40-ton propeller propelling us to our location. And this view is so calm and peaceful, and it's just a great moment for you to come, enjoy the peace, and just enjoy the Atlantic Ocean.
Now within this level, on the port side of the ship, we have the trash room where they keep the trash. The main gangway where you can get on and off the ship. And right next to that is a crucial necessity on any ship, the air conditioning room. They separated this space from the engine room to help control the amount of fumes getting into the system, to ensure the ship gets quality cool and fresh air.
Next space we're gonna tour is the gym, and let me take you right in. Now, it's definitely not Equinox, but you have the fundamental equipment that you need to work out. Treadmill. There's another treadmill in the back. You have your weights, bars, bench press. It's definitely utilitarian, but it gets the job done. Armand and myself have been coming down here to get our workout in, and this is just the first floor of the accommodation deck. We got a lot to cover.
Next up on the accommodation tower is the poop deck. Aside from the large amount of safety instructions that set the tone for this ship, on this level we have one of the ship's laundry rooms. Next to that, we have a stairwell that will take you all the way up to the navigation deck. And at the end of the hall is the ship's office.
We actually spend quite a bit of time here. This particular space happens to have the best internet connection in the entire ship, especially this chair and this desk right here. I've been spending a lot of late hours sending emails, being in communication with our team in Los Angeles, talking to our families. I personally owe a lot to this particular chair. Now to my right, we have the load master computer. This is where you can see the overall container distribution between the cargo holds and above deck. And this is also where they make a lot of calculations to keep the ship balanced. Above that is the ISPS cameras. That way you can kind of monitor things around the vessel. We have the panel here for the anti-heeling system. This is how they keep the vessel level. And over here, we have the control system for the ballast tanks. Ballast tanks are massive water tanks. They play a crucial role when it comes to the balance of the overall ship. The more cargo you load up to the ship, the more you gotta fill up the ballast tanks with seawater to keep everything even. And you can actually see the levels of some of these tanks here. And that's pretty much it. That's the ship's office. Now, I wanna take everybody to the other side so we can check out the hospital. A ship this size needs a space like this, where we have a bed, oxygen tank, sterilization equipment, a lot of medicine on board. There we go, nicely organized. You use a space like this if somebody gets sick on board or if there's an emergency. That's why they also have an exterior access on this side. And right here, we have a full bathroom. Now, when they showed us this space for the first time, I was impressed with the fact that you get a tub here. I think this is the only tub on the entire ship.
I think so.
When you get sick or when you're on this side of the ship, you get some extra perks. And when you think about it, within this ship, you need to have everything you could possibly need. And this is one of those rooms that you probably don't think about it initially, but then within every circumstance possible, you want to make sure you have the coverage. That's why it's crucial to have a room like this.
There's a strange kind of stillness out here, the kind that settles deep in your chest. The wind moves through the corridors, and for a moment, the Atlantic feels like it's holding its breath. It's quiet, almost too quiet, even with the sea moving around you. Everything feels stagnant, but at peace. Until you hear that sound. A sound that reminds you that out here, you're alone.
Acil durun! Acil durun! Acil durun!
When the sirens activate, every crew member on the boat, beyond their existing roles, takes on a full new set of responsibilities, which are pre-assigned during their routine safety seminars. This is where they walk us through the procedures.
Biz bu aynı filmciler gibi yani. Senaryo yazarız. Ha bu olay başımıza geldiği zaman ne yaparız? Bizim yapabileceğimiz en ufak bir hata çok büyük sorunlara yol açabilir.
But nothing compares to this. Not when the air shifts and the adrenaline kicks in.
Ülke dairesinde duman görülmüş. Gerekli müdahaleye başlıyoruz. Herkes görev yerine.
Watching it all unfold, you realize something bone deep. If this ship is burning, there's nowhere to run. No exit ramp, no fire department, just a crew, some gear, and the Atlantic all around. Just imagine being one of these men. They're walking into the fire, literally, with nothing more than a metal rope and raw determination keeping them alive. Think about that. One misstep, and their lives can end. But they go anyway to keep the rest of us safe. Being in the middle of the ocean is truly the last place I want to be when there's a fire.
Yani gemide en olmaması gereken düşünce tarzı bir şey olmaz. Buradaki olay her an her şey olabilir düşüncesiyle her şeye hazırlıklı olmak. Yani 5 dakika erken gideyim, 10 dakika fazla uyuyayım. Bu gerçekten de o 10 dakika artık son uyku olabilir. O 5 dakika son istirahat olabilir.
Seeing how quickly the crew responded and worked together shows how these drills and their unity are crucial to our survival. especially when all we have to rely on is each other. Barish, the chief officer, rounded us up and gave us a review of how we did before sending us to the next location.
Now we just finished our fire drill. Now we're gonna get on our life post basically.
But before we get there, the crew splits up between the muster stations on the port and starboard side for efficiently doing roll calls and giving our final orders.
Cody and I are gonna take our spots. I'm 23, he's 25.
Once we were accounted for, we were given life jackets.
Ready.
And headed to the lifeboats.
Think about it. They do this every time they're on a voyage going to another location. They keep doing these drills. They always have to stay sharp and make sure they know the procedure and they follow it precisely. This could mean the difference between life or death. So it's nothing to be joked about. Even though they've done it so many times, you can just feel the intensity and the seriousness of the situation. And once again, it makes you appreciate that you're with an amazing crew. But like, these vessels are no joke.
Basmayın lan o şekilde. Tamam.
Apparently, it was just a drill. To think that when all else fails, this crew has to rely on 2 lifeboats to save them is wild. And it sparked my curiosity to get a closer look at how one of these lifeboats on A deck sheltered the crew when the unthinkable happens.
This boat can accommodate 25 people, and right in the center they have the storage area for dry food and water because you can stay up to 3 days on this boat. Now even better, we have the control area on this side and it feels like you're in a mini submarine. Obviously it's really watertight because you never know when you're going to need this boat, and there's a good chance when you need it, you might be in rough conditions. So you want to make sure that you can rely on a lifeboat like this. And now, let's go back to the deck.
Inside A deck, we got a variety of spaces that my team and I have been spending a lot of time in. First, our ping pong room. This has been a great place for the crew and us to unwind and have some fun. I even got to play against the captain here. Next to that, we got our office.
We spend majority of our time in this space because this is where we work, manage our footage, get our camera gear ready, and this is actually my desk. And my computer is here, but more importantly, I have the entire floor plan of the ship because keep in mind, our channel is known for mega homes, architectural properties, commercial properties, yachts, but we've actually never toured a ship like this before. So I've been learning a lot about the floor plans, where certain areas are located, the overall layout. You have no idea how many hours at this point I've spent just looking at this floor plan to make sure we're adequately covering all the spaces and we're creating a nice flow with this tour. Yeah, so I owe a lot to this map.
Definitely.
Now, this is our little hangout spot. We eat food here, chat, plan the episodes. Behind me is the workstation for Cody. Cody, I'm gonna let you explain what we have over on this side.
Yeah, this has been my second home essentially, just managing footage, editing, charging batteries, you name it. I'm sitting at that desk all day.
And when he wants some natural light or natural air, we just pop out this window. We have a fantastic view of the aft, the movement. We've even got so many different shots from this window alone.
Definitely.
And this is Armand's corner. And behind me, we have a portrait of Atatürk. Throughout the vessel, they have portraits of Atatürk everywhere. He is an incredibly important and iconic figure for Turkish people, and it's nice to see his portraits throughout the ship. Now, let's leave our office and continue our tour on the A deck. We have a powder bathroom here, a few storage areas, and to my right, we have the door opening up to the crew mess and the galley.
Aside from looking forward to returning to their families, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are some of the most anticipated events of each day for these men. And the person responsible for that is our chef.
Şefim selamlar.
Selamlar.
Nasılsın, iyi misin?
Teşekkür ederim. Siz nasılsınız?
İyidir. Bir dediğimizi iki etmiyorsun. Bir de senden döner istedik.
Evet, sizi kırmadık, yaptık yine. Biz sizler için varız zaten burada.
Eyvallah, bir tanesi.
Ben 20 senedir gemilerdeyim. Yani rutin bir hayatımız var aslında bizim. Yani akşam 6'da yemeğimizi yeriz. İşte gemi kaptanı olsun, diğer mühendis arkadaşlarla muhabbetimizi ederiz.
Gemide hani işin özü insanların mutlu olması. İnsanları mutlu etmek için de yani yemek özellikle biz Türklerde biraz farklı herhalde. Farklı bir kültür.
Now, let me give you a quick tour of the kitchen. We have another fridge here. This coffee maker has been working really hard. We've been drinking a lot of coffee. We have a fridge here, some grills, oven. Main stove is right in the center with a commercial vent. It's really cool and it's intimate. You come over here, even though they serve you, sometimes you make your own plate. And 3 times a day, we come over here, grab our food, eat inside.
Şahsen benim adıma en önemli insan aşçı. Ve Arkas'ta da gerçekten iyi aşçılar var. Yani keyif alıyorum çünkü biraz önceki sorunuza cevap olsun. En büyük zevk gemide yemek.
Şimdi şuradan bandıracaksın.
Buyur.
En güzel yer burası.
Aynen. Yarıyla beraber.
Döner böyle yenir. Enes bu işi biliyor. Şimdi bazıları var da...
Yani bir gemide yemek dediğimiz zaman yani hani mutluluğun resmini çizebilir misin noktasında gerçekten en yaklaştığımız an olabilir yani. Yemeğin önemi gerçekten çok büyük. O da şu şekilde: çalışmışsınız, bir efor sarf etmişsiniz ve sofraya oturmuşsunuz. Zaten o günün yorgunluğunu sizden alıp götürüyor. O yemekle birlikte o yemek sofrasındaki, o salondaki muhabbet, keyif, yemeğin lezzetiyle daha da lezzetleniyor.
Gün sonunda ödül gibi.
Kesinlikle öyle.
And the chef doesn't allow the ship to become a limitation to what he can cook up.
You know, I'm totally surprised because I was thinking that we're gonna have like a regular breakfast, but it's not like that. Look at that. This is super cool. This is beautiful. I missed my food. I missed Turkish food, so.
Vallahi siz gemideki herkes pozitif de sizin pozitifliğiniz bir başka. Ben buraya heyecanla geliyorum her sabah kahve almaya.
Teşekkür ederiz. Biz sizler için varız burada. Herkes için.
Çok teşekkürler. Ellerinize
Eğer
sağlık.
siz de bizden mutlu olduysanız bu Türkler bize yeter.
It's a simple pleasure that keeps their spirits up each day.
Gemide devamlı iş konuşulmamasının önemi çok büyük. Yani tüm yaşantımız burada olduğu için iş hayatımız burada, aslına bakarsanız sosyal hayatımız burada. Yani sosyal hayatımızı destekleyecek kısımlar bu geminin içinde.
Some of those parts include the gym, the ping pong table, or even the crew's favorite pastime, watching a soccer match.
Yani her ne kadar burada her yerde işle alakalı uyarılar olsa da o salonlarda, o yemek esnasında işten uzaklaşmak apayrı bir keyif, enerji ve motivasyon sağlıyor insana.
And once the crew is served, they then split into the 2 galleys we have on this level. One for the captain and his leadership, and the other one for the remaining crew. This simple act of having a meal together, playing games together, or watching TV together helps create a sense of camaraderie and community amongst the crew. Some may say that the engine room powers the ship, but it's the chef that keeps all 22 operators fed and in good spirits. He sets the tone to help make this vessel feel like a home away from home. And while we're on this subject, let's go see where they store all this food.
They have an air conditioning unit here to keep the moisture level low, and they have so much food here. And keep in mind, this vessel has been on its way for the last, give or take 20 days, and we've been told earlier that this section right now is actually very empty, but I can't believe that because we still have so much food.
Wait, is that the Turkish tea? Okay.
Yes.
Can you get this in America?
Yes, I'm pretty sure you can.
Okay.
Cody and I have been drinking a lot of tea on the
It's
ship.
so good, but I can't find like a similar one.
It's pretty good.
It's probably not at a Whole Foods, right?
I doubt that you'll find it at Whole Foods.
I'm gonna
but
take a photo of that.
yeah, and more importantly, we have the gyro machine down below. The first time I saw this machine, I'm like, Patron, döner makinesi var aşağıda. Patron, ne yapıyorsunuz siz? Patron, they have a gyro machine. I'm like, none of this was disclosed. And they made us one a few days ago. It was fantastic. We ate little too much that day. And then you have some pastas, olive oil. I mean, think about it. If you stack this place up all the way to the ceiling, you can probably survive on board, I want to say at least 3 to 4 months, especially on dry food. But then you don't have to just enjoy dry food because they have walk-in fridges and freezers. We have the first one here. I want to quickly show the second one to everyone. Again, it's relatively empty right now. They have the meats stacked on the shelf there. The third one is the biggest one. Let's go right in. I mean, look how spacious this walk-in fridge is. And I love the creativity aspect, the challenge of being on a ship like this where you have really good supplies but limited supplies. And it's the chef and his helper's job to be creative, to spice things up and come up with unique recipes to both keep the crew happy, fed, and healthy, because their job is actually very important. Think about it. If those men get sick, you can ruin the operation, you can cause other problems. So the chef has to be extremely careful when it comes to feeding all the crew on board and making sure they're nice and healthy. And this is the walk-in fridge.
Now the crew and my team all live on C and E deck. There are 25 cabins in total, one for every crew member, including us. When you're spending nearly half a year at sea, having your own space becomes more than just comfort. It's essential. It's where you find a sense of normalcy amidst the vastness of the ocean. And if you're lucky like Cody, your room might even come with a view.
This room's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Honestly, it was bigger than I expected coming onto this ship. So
And
it was,
you're not sharing with anyone.
exactly, it's just myself, and it was a welcome surprise. I have plenty of space. I wasn't even expecting a couch. I got an air vent, which is fantastic, and I have my own bathroom as well.
I mean, the way this ship is designed is very utilitarian. It's all about the purpose, and that's pretty much it.
Yep.
But it's nice to have your own private space, especially after a long work day where you want to just close your door, lay on your bed, relax, get some rest, and have some privacy.
I agree.
All right, let's continue our tour.
Now on E deck, we have the best bedrooms on this ship. The chief engineer is on one side and captain's room on the other. And of course, my room is in the middle.
We have a really nice layout. Again, built-in desk, couch on this side, my single bed. The window and the view I get on this level is phenomenal. In fact, I'm just gonna open it up for all of you to see it. It is fantastic.
Oh yeah, you're above the containers.
That's right.
Wow.
You can see all the way to the mast.
Great breeze.
Great breeze. And every morning, first thing I do is actually open up this window so that I can get some fresh air. And my bed has this beautiful floral pattern. It kind of lights up the mood a little bit.
It's cute.
It is cute. And I have my reading light over here. I also have a small fridge here.
Wow.
Another floating shelf for some of my bathroom products. And we have the bathroom over here. Come on in with me. Everybody on our team knows anywhere we travel, I make myself at home immediately. I lay out my products, my beard trimmers, my shower products. I just own the space because we travel so much that no matter where we go, we have to make it home, and I've been really enjoying it.
Now at the end of the hall, we have the captain's quarters.
Captain's room and the chief engineer's room have living room areas and separate bedroom areas, and obviously it's very, very spacious. We have the seating section on this side, but Cody, we need to get a close up. The window here is on another level. I mean, look at this, almost floor to ceiling. You can see the entire ship and you get a nice ocean view as well. And over on this side, we have a TV, radar monitors. Even though Captain might be resting here, he's constantly thinking about the ship, the voyage, and the crew. So it's nice for him to have these screens. We have a fridge here. I really like this section, built-in desk. And let's go see the bedroom itself. Now, these rooms are also very spacious in a sense that you get a queen-size bed, makeup mirror, another window. But the part that I found kind of fascinating is the fact that all the bathrooms are exactly the same. And I believe it's like that because these are fully complete units. So Cody, when they're building them, they're just sliding in these bathrooms.
That makes sense.
And I'm honored that I am located on the E deck between the chief engineer, the captain, and below me is the chief officer. So I'm right in the holy trinity of the leadership group when it comes to this vessel.
Living on the high seas truly is not as easy as it seems. Not only is physically challenging, but it's mentally challenging as well. And the solitude you have in the middle of the ocean does not help. Many on board are on contracts that last upwards of 6 months at a time.
Bu işte, daha doğrusu yaptığımızın iş olarak görüldüğü bu eylemde bazı yanlış anlaşılmalar olduğuna inanıyorum. Bu da şöyle ki, şu anda biz gemide çalışanlar bunu sanki bir işmişçesine yapıyormuşuz gibi oluyor ama artık bu gerçekten insan farkına varmadan bu insanın hayat tarzı, yaşam biçimi haline geliyor ve sonra hayat ikiye ayrılıyor. Kara ve deniz diye. Ya bu çok önemli bir ayrım.
Bir işle uğraşırken karada geride bıraktıklarınızı çok fazla belki aklınıza getirmezsiniz ama işiniz bittiği zaman, uğraşacak bir şeyiniz kalmadığı zaman aklınız hep karadaki insanlarda olur. Daha çok özlem duyarsınız. İşte denizdeki insanın aciz kaldığı tek nokta diyebiliriz buna. Aslında ne kadar böyle denizde çalışanlar böyle çok kaba insanlar gibi görünse de emin olun çok duygusal insanlar. En hassas oldukları konularda aileleri. Aileler işin içine girdiği zaman biraz fazla hüzüne dalabiliyoruz.
Ekibiniz burada çok güçlü. Ben onlara ailesiyle ilgili soru sorduğumda herkesin yüzünün şekli değişiyor.
Çünkü özlüyorlar. Hepimiz eşimizi çok seviyoruz, çocuklarımızı çok seviyoruz. Onların kokusu, onlarla beraber geçirdiğin zaman, geri döndüğün zaman onlarla neler yapabileceğini düşünüyorsun. Neler yapamadığını düşünüyorsun.
Ya ben dışarı çıktığım zaman, ufka baktığım zaman ben ailemi düşünüyorum. Aklımda çocuklarım, eşim. Yani ben aileme düşkün bir insanım. Yani onlardan uzak olmak benim için en kötü şey burada.
Ve birkaç gün önce bir yakınınızı kaybettiniz. Onu anlamamız neredeyse imkansızdı. Onu bile bizlere, ekiplerinize hiç yansıtmadınız.
Ben şimdi birkaç gün önce bir olay yaşadık. Benim kayınvalidem Necla Soybahçeci vefat etti. Eşim zaten bana bir gün önce annesinin kötü olduğunu söyledi. Ama neticede uzun seyir atıyoruz. Ayrılma şansımız yok. Gemi Amerika'ya gidiyor. Üzgünüm, psikolojimiz de bozuk. Tabii eşimi düşünüyorum, çocukları düşünüyorum. Ama siz de farkındasınız, yani dışarı yansıtmıyorum. Mesleğimize de yansıtmamamız lazım. Çünkü bizim gemide çalıştığımız zaman bizim eksikliğimizi çocuklar özellikle anneanne ve dedeleriyle giderdiler. Yani biz 20 senedir gemideyiz. En büyük kızım 17 yaşında, anneannesi büyüttü. Çocuklar için de büyük bir yıkım oldu. Ne yazık ki bu mesleğin bence yani en zor tarafı bu. Bizim denizciliğin belki de en zor şeyi, yani biz çocuklarımızın doğumunda, hastalandığında yanlarında bulunamıyoruz. Veya bir yakınımız vefat ettiği zaman yetişemiyoruz. Eşimizin en zor gününde yanında bulunamıyorum. Bunu bize anlatamayız yani. Bize en zoru bu zaten. Hani orada da biz bununla nasıl baş ediyoruz? Siz sormadan ben cevap vereyim. Biz şalteri indiriyoruz. Yani gemiye geldiğimiz zaman şalteri indirip karadaki bizim eşimiz de, yani hayat yoldaşımız, her şeyimizi eşimize borçluyuz. Ya ben eşime de teşekkür ediyorum. Onlar her şeyi idare ediyor. Evin hem babası hem annesi oluyorlar. Biz burada sadece çalışıyoruz. Bizim yaptığımız bir şey yok aslında. Bütün iş kadınların sırtında. Aslında biz burada hayatın günlük koşuşturmasından, stresinden uzağız.
Yani gemide tabii ki şöyle düşünülmesin. Ufka baktığında devamlı hüzün, keder. Hani orada hep bir efkar, böyle bir şey yok. Yani bence gemide olmanın en büyük faydalarından bir tanesi karadan uzaklaştıkça karadaki olayları daha iyi değerlendirebilmek. İçinden çıktıkça daha uzaktan bakma yetisi kazanıyor insan. Bir şeyin ne kadar içindeysek bazen o kadar körleşebiliyoruz ama bizim mesleğimiz bize dışından bakarak değerlendirme yeteneğini kattığına inanıyorum. Aslında insanı biraz daha yaşından fazla olgunlaştırabilen bir meslek. Ama yanlış kullanıldığında da hayatını tamamen bu gemideki olarak değil, dışarıdaki, yani bu mesleğin sağladığı imkanlarla dışarıda bambaşka parçalanmış bir hayatta yaratabilecek bir meslek.
They learn to live with the fact that sometimes they're not going to be home for those important events in their families' lives. It's a challenging lifestyle that they have taken on, and they continue to do their jobs with pride and spirit to ensure the ship keeps running so they can complete their mission and come home to their loved ones. And at the very top of the accommodation tower is the place where every critical decision is made for this journey, and where we find the man that carries the weight of that responsibility every single day.
Kaptan bir kişi veya kaptan bunu yapıyor diyemeyiz. Yani kaptan yeri geldiği zaman bir makineci gibi makinededir, yeri geldiği zaman aşçı gibi aşçıdır. Karadaki beraber çalıştığın insanların gözü kulağısın. Aynı zamanda hem ülkeni temsil ediyorsun, hem şirketini temsil ediyorsun. Kaptan herkesin yanında olan insandır. İyi bir kaptan olmak, yani doğru zamanda doğru karar verebilmek ve eğer bir risk var ise o riski tolere edebilmek, sizinle beraber bulunan ekibinizi A limandan B limanına emniyetli bir şekilde götürebilmek.
Welcome to the navigation deck. We're going to give you a quick crash course in regards to some of the screens, radars, and the tools that they have on this level. We got a lot to cover. First, we have the autopilot and the helm station here. But I want to actually quickly go over to this side so we can talk about some of the equipment over here. We have Inmarsat, which is long distance satellite communication. This is where you can send messages back to the company or you can communicate over long distance. Now, over on this side, we have another communication tool. This is more for short range and you can communicate with the ports or ships around you. It's like Twitter for ships basically. You get weather reports, you see any kind of emergencies that other ships may have, and you have a small office area here, and that's pretty much it for this section. Now I'm gonna take you to the main control panel. We have navigation light here, outdoor lighting control on this side, and coming over here, we have VHF radio. As you can see, we're on channel 16 and all the ships are required to be on channel 16, and within 30-mile range, you hear everybody's communication on channel 16. This is a good way to ask for help, or if you're running into any kind of emergency situation, you're only getting the communication within the 30-mile range, so you know who's around you. In fact, if you look at the navigation radar here, you can see some of the ships around us. So this dot right here is us, and right behind us we have Kennedy, and right in front of us, about 14 miles out, we have OOCL Seoul, which I'm assuming is a ship from South Korea. And jumping to the other side, we have the S-band radar here.
And a few days ago, Barış demonstrated how far the S-band radar can go, and boy did it make us feel alone.
You can see the now is 6 miles.
So 6 miles, nobody.
This one 12,
12, no one.
24,
No one.
48.
So clearly no one will hear us.
We're all alone.
Who's the nearest?
Because we are now in ocean. Not good.
Hey, it gets lonely out here.
It
like,
does.
like when we said we haven't seen a ship, soul, nothing. We're not joking around.
And now-
48 miles, we don't have. 96, no one is here. Isn't that crazy? Within 100 miles, we don't have a single breathing soul.
Wow.
Besides the people on this ship.
Next to that, we have the thruster control, engine control. We are at about a 62% power right now, and I believe you can push this up to 95%. Next, we got something really exciting. I've been waiting for this moment. I've been granted the right to hit the horn button for this vessel. It's a pretty big deal, so let's do that.
Dude, that's loud.
It is very loud, but it's fun. Obviously, our views are fantastic right now. Water is so calm. What a scene.
What a view.
I mean, we have the entire ship in front of us, all the way to the mast. Look at all these containers. Crazy, and this is the control center. And then I actually want to take everybody to the helm now. We have a magnetic compass above us. By the way, you can also see the screens that are in front of us that are attached to the ceiling. And over there we have an IMO number. That's International Maritime Organization. And that's basically the ID number of this ship. Now, let's talk about the helm here. We have an autopilot. Currently we're on the autopilot. And this is the steering wheel for this massive ship. Then we have some code signal flags here. You can actually read some of their descriptions and what these flags are for here. And we can also see all the country flags on this side. There's a small fridge down below. And then we have another desk area on this side. And I think that's pretty much it for the navigation deck, right?
I think it is. We just got to go outside.
This is where you can walk to the very edge of this ship. In fact, I want everybody to see the view up here. It's really windy today, but I mean, look at this view. This is absolutely insane. We're so high up, and over on this side, just like the starboard side, they have a wing station. Now, what's so funny about this wing station is the fact that Cody thought that this section here was a gas grill.
I mean, I think people in the comments can back me up. From this angle, it looks like a grill that you just open up and cook. It's got the awning, but the first time I came up here, I was like, oh, sick.
He told me this a few days ago, and I lost my mind. I was laughing so hard. I haven't laughed this hard in a long time. I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, this is a wing station. Now, turning to the other side, look at the view of the aft. So peaceful and mesmerizing. And then we have the stack here, all these exhaust pipes, and the space above us is literally the highest point of this ship, and that's where we're going next. Welcome to the monkey deck, arguably the coolest rooftop we've ever toured on this channel. The structure here is called the Christmas tree, or that's what the crew calls it. And it holds the X-band and S-band radar. And since we're on this level right now, they've actually turned off the radar. Now this section gets the best views of the entire ship. We have the Atlantic Ocean around us, but I want everybody to see this insane view that's behind me. You can see the entire vessel all the way to the bow, the containers, the Atlantic Ocean. It's been an incredible experience touring this vessel, understanding its culture and its crew, being part of this experience. I mean, I can't thank Arkas family enough for giving us the chance to be part of this voyage and share this incredible experience with all of you. And within a few days, we will be arriving to New York City. It's hard to believe that we're only 24 hours away from our arrival.
And to commemorate our final meal on this journey, it's only right to have a barbecue. On our channel, we've toured multi-million-dollar homes designed to capture views like these. And here I was on the poop deck having the best view I've ever had dinner with.
People spend millions of dollars to have this kind of a view. And guess what? On a container ship, when you work here, you have it all day, every day. So I'm gonna go back there, join them, eat some good food, and come along. Şimdi oldu kaptan. Hemen alıyorum yemeğimi.
My goal in life is to push myself and find where the work can take me. It may seem crazy, but I feel like I belonged in this experience. I felt like I was part of the crew. Their work out in the open ocean deeply inspires me to keep pushing and let myself journey as far from my comfort zone as I must to find the next steps. Leaving Spain feels like it was a lifetime ago, and also just like it was yesterday. But the same can be said about my early days with the Arcas Sports Club, and how that led me here. That sense of home and the passage of time.
Gemilerde, yani sonuçta bu şirketin gemilerinde, Arkas'ın gemilerinde olmak artık bir işten ziyade bir hayat, bir yaşam tarzına dönüşüyor. Arkas aslında hayatınızın bir parçası olmuş oluyor bu noktada.
Arkas büyük bir aile. İnsana yapılan yatırım da en iyi yatırımlardan bir tanesi. Ve bunu Arkas'ta gördüğüm için de sanırım daha uzun yıllar beraber olacağız.
Biz de sizden biri gibi hissediyoruz kendimizi. Burada o kadar yaklaştık ki, o kadar içli dışlıyız ki bu işin, bu kültürün, gemiciliğin, armatörlüğün bir ufak parçası bile olsa elimizle bunu hissedebildik, gözümüzle görebildik. Bizim için de güzel bir tecrübe oldu. Onlar için de ben size teşekkür ederim.
Size de teşekkür ediyorum yani bu fırsatı verdiniz. Aklımızdaki her şeyi söyledik. İnşallah yayınlanır.
İnşallah.
Speaking my native language with the crew, so far from home, makes all of this that much more special. It's remarkable that so many layers of my past have come together here. As I push into the future with the camaraderie of people like the Arcas crew, sharing their work and their dedication, and letting it guide my way across the Atlantic Ocean and around the world. I was woken up by some commotion outside and got up to go take a look. And what a surprise it was. Land.
And this voyage is finally coming to an end. And what a grand arrival. New York City.
Please alter course to starboard, steer for Ambrose Channel.
Pilot cards here? Yes, sir. Excellent. All right. Yeah, I'm ready to take it. We can come up to slow ahead. Slow ahead? Yep, slow ahead. And you said the bow thrust is ready? Yes, sir. Okay.
With the pilot on board, it was time to bring this leg of the journey to an end. A true full circle to what we saw last week in Spain.
We're almost at the port. In fact, these two massive tugboats are gently pushing the container ship to get close to the edge so we can moor to the port. It's happening as we speak.
Spring halatının boşunu al sadece, kıç halatını gönder.
Kıç halat gönderiyor.
fazla vira yapma. Daha fazla vira yapma. Spingi kalsın. Barış, palamara halat verdiğin zaman haber ver.
At last, after 11 days, the ship has stopped. As the crew began to tie down the ship, we headed back to our rooms to pack up our final things before it was time to disembark. After 11 days, it's time to go home. I'm incredibly grateful that my team and I were given the opportunity to step into this world, to see firsthand what it takes to move millions of dollars worth of goods across the Atlantic. These men worked tirelessly to keep the ship running, often far from home for months at a time. And yet, despite their responsibilities, they welcomed us in and made us feel like part of their crew, part of their family. I know I'll miss that bond, and I can't help but wonder if they will miss it too.
Suvari Bey'in kanatları altında sizlere elimizden gelen tüm misafirperverliği gösterdik. Bir yandan da artık gideceğiniz için de mutluyum ama. Evet. Başta bende şu oluştu. Ya şimdi 10 gün ne güzel seyrimiz vardı. Bir de adamlar gelecek. Şimdi bambaşka şeylere gireceğiz noktası oluştu. Ama sonra gerçekten hani sizleri tanıdıkça, sizlerdeki o gerçekten o hevesi, öğrenme isteğini gördükçe, aynı masada daha fazla zaman geçirdikçe bu bizlere de daha farklı bir keyif vermeye başladı. Ya gidelim bunu da yapalım. Ortaya böyle bir güzellik de çıksın oldu. Sanki hep buradaymışız da biz aslında hep 25 kişi olarak ilerliyormuşuz gibi bir durum ortaya çıktı.
İş hızım 2-3 katına çıkar yani. Çok hızlısınız, seri çalışıyorsunuz. Eliniz de yatkın yani. Hani verdik, çekici verdik elinize, hiç yadırgamadınız. Ya da anahtar, havalı tabancayı hiç yadırgamadınız. Yani keşke sizin gibi elemanlarım olsa.
Eyvallah,
ben çok hoşlandım yani.
Vallahi sizi tanıdığıma memnun oldum. Gayet güler yüzlü, iyi bir arkadaşlarsınız. İsterdim hep beraber yine bir ay olsaydı daha iyiydi.
Ya gelmeden önce ben Enes Yılmazer'i tanımıyordum. Geldikten sonra Enes Yılmazer'i tanıdım ve Enes Yılmazer'in ne kadar pozitif insan olduğunu gördüm. Ve Enes Yılmazer'in bizim gemimiz açısından, yani hepimiz açısından tatlı bir anı olarak kalacağını, yani bizim için farklı bir okyanus seyri oldu aslında. Her şeyimizi gördünüz, her şeyimizi yaşadınız. Yani bizi en iyi şekilde anlatacağınızı düşünüyoruz. O yüzden Enes Yılmazer ve ekibine çok teşekkür ediyoruz.
Videolarda yüklenince bizim için bir anı olacak yani bunlar. Biz oradaydık diyeceğiz yani. Teşekkür ediyoruz size.
The moment of truth. We're about to hit the land for the first time in almost 12 days. Let's go. What a journey it has been. Sine A is behind us. That's it. We made it. Our luggages, we're on to our next journey. It's been a hell of a ride. I'm glad we did it.
When we finally touched land, a part of me felt accomplished, and part of me felt like I didn't even make a dent. Armand, Cody, and I were going home to our friends and family, but the rest of the crew were not.
You see, I came on this journey thinking that I was here to document and tell this story, but I walked away more inspired than ever. I admire the crew's level of commitment, resilience, and ability to do whatever it takes and do it over and over again. That has really shifted my perspective on the world and who we choose to glorify. These people move the world. They're true inspiration and really a type of encouragement that I will take with me for the rest of my life. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I'm honored that I got to share this experience with all of them, and now with you.
Bizim hikayemiz kaldığımız yerden devam edecek. Yani bitmeyecek zaten.
Zaten biten bir hikaye.
Biten bir hikaye yok.
Yani ben mesleğimi seviyorum. Yani bırakmak da istemiyorum. Zor yani. Hayat, herkesin bir zorluğu var. Bizim de bu hayattaki zorluğumuz bu. Artık biz bunu kabullendik. Böyle gidiyoruz.
Biz sadece orada bir virgül koyduk. Sonra tekrardan devam edeceğiz. Tatlı bir anı.
Usta gemici Rıfat Gültekin, Arkas'ta çalışıyorum. Tüm denizci arkadaşlara kolay gelsin. Bir an önce ailemize kavuşmak istiyoruz, kazasız belasız.
2015'ten beri Arkas'ta elektrik zabiti olarak görev yapmaktayım. Buradan aileme, meslektaşlarıma, tüm arkadaşlarıma çok selam söylüyorum.
Çok teşekkür ederiz her şey için.
Ben teşekkür ediyorum.
Yaptığın yemekler, her şey için çok sağ ol.
Ben teşekkür ederim. Siz de bize memnun kaldıysanız ne mutlu bize.
Ne mutlu, biz de çok mutluyuz. Çok sağ ol. Yakışıklı duruyorsun.
Teşekkür ederim abi.
Dünyaya başka söylemek istediğin bir şey var mı?
Barış, başka hiçbir şey değil. Sağlık, huzur, dünya için. En önemlisi de bu zaten. Önce sağlık, önce huzur.
Sizleri tanımak benim için çok güzel bir duygu. Sizler benim için sözde uzaktasınız. Sizler her daim bendesiniz, kalbimdesiniz, kalbimizdesiniz. Sizlerle tanışmak ve çalışmak çok güzel. Çok teşekkür ederim.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Liderlikteki önemli husus.
Onda mı kalmıştık?
Liderlikte her şey, en önemli şey dikkat.
Buradan ailesinden uzakta yaşayıp farklı şartlarda, farklı koşullarda çalışma ortamına hızlı bir şekilde adapte olan tüm denizcilere selamımı söylüyorum.
Abi gayet iyi çalıştınız. Olağanüstü bir performans gösterdiniz.
Benden bir mekanik olur mu?
Sizden mekanik değil, profesör olur.
Bundan sonraki sorular biraz
O
daha
kadarını da araştırıp öğrensinler.
öğrensinler. Aynen.
O kadar.
Oradan da Enes'ten de beklemeyin diyor.
O kadar da aynen ya. Araştırıp öğrensinler.
Yoksa video olacak 5 saat.
O kadarını da videonun altına yorum yazsınlar.
Yorum yazsınlar yani. Aynen öyle.
Çok zor sorular soruyor lan. Hiç demediniz bana bu kadar soruyor falan diye.
Hiç o yazılanlar çıkmadı ya.
Yok.
Herkese selam söylüyorum. Dünyada barış olsun istiyorum.
Zaten söyleşimiz esnasında ben aklıma gelen içimdeki her şeyi söyledim. Yani pek bir şey bırakmadım aslında. Çünkü biraz sorularım dışına da çıktım.
Ama her şey çok yolunda gitti, çok güzeldi. Teşekkür ederim size. Bize böyle bir imkanı da sağladığınız için de. Herkesin olduğu gibi benim de öncelikle özlediğim insanlar var. Başta oğlum, eşim, annem, ailem. Onlara çok selam söylüyorum.
Çok güzel bir ekiple beraber çok güzel bir çalışma oldu. Umarım siz de memnun olursunuz. Hepinize çok selam söylüyoruz. Hepinizi çok seviyoruz. Kendinize çok dikkat edin. Görüşmek üzere. Okey miydi?
Ben sanki videoyu kapatıyorsun. Ne güzel söyledin. İyi, tamam. Güzel oldu. Çok güzel oldu.